Your brain has lied to you, and it does it all the time. Not on purpose, but every time you remember your past, your brain is not simply pressing play, it is rebuilding what happened, filling in missing pieces, borrowing details, mixing things you saw with things you heard, imagined, or were told later. And sometimes it creates a memory of something that never happened. The worst part? You can be completely sure it's real. You can see it, you can feel it, you can swear you were there, and still be wrong. In fact, before this video ends, I'm going to try to make your brain remember something I never actually told you. And I won't need hypnosis. I just need a few words. Let the duck explain. But first, remember these. Don't write them down. Don't rewind. Just listen. Bed, rest, awake, tired, dream, blanket, snooze, night, pillow, peace, yawn, drowsy. That's it. Keep them somewhere in your head. We'll come back to them later. You probably imagine a memory as a file. Something happens, your brain saves it, and years later you open the same file. Convenient, but wrong. Your brain does not keep a perfect video of your life. It keeps pieces, a face, a feeling, the meaning of what happened, a few details that mattered. And when you remember, those pieces have to be assembled again. Think of a puzzle with missing pieces. Your brain does not always leave an empty hole. Sometimes it fills the gap with what probably belongs there. Most of the time, that is useful. If you go to a restaurant, your brain does not need to preserve every fork, chair, and glass. It remembers the structure of the event. But what probably happened and what actually happened are not always the same thing. Imagine an old-fashioned rich man. Top hat, suit, cane. Now add a monocle, it feels right. That's one reason so many people picture the Monopoly man wearing one. He doesn't, but the monocle fits the mental template. Psychologists call these kinds of frameworks schemas. You have them for classrooms, hospitals, birthday parties, first dates. Schemas help you understand situations quickly, but they also create expectations. And sometimes you don't remember exactly what was there. You remember what made sense to be there. Now, let's make it personal. You're at dinner with friends, someone knocks over a glass. The next day, your friend says, "I still can't believe Jake knocked that over." There's one problem. It wasn't Jake. It was Sam. A week later, someone asks, "Who did it?" And Jake comes to mind. Why? Because your brain has to remember not only information, but where that information came from. Did you see Jake do it? Did your friend say Jake did it? Did you imagine Jake doing it while hearing the story? Those are different sources, but the content is similar. This is called source monitoring. And sometimes the source gets confused. You've probably experienced this. You tell a friend a fact and they say, "I know. I'm the one who told you." Now apply that to your childhood. Think of one of your earliest memories. A beach, a birthday, your first home. Are you remembering the event? Or the photograph? Or the story your parents told so many times that your brain learned to visualize it? Sometimes those sources blend together. And here's a strange clue. If a childhood memory shows you from across the room, almost like a camera is watching you, where did that viewpoint come from? That does not automatically make the memory false, but it reveals something important. The picture in your head is not necessarily a literal recording from your eyes. It is a reconstruction happening now, and other people can influence that reconstruction more than we like to admit. Research on the misinformation effect has shown this again and again. People witness an event. Later, they receive misleading information about one detail, and that later information can change what they report remembering. A question can do it. Another witness can do it. A confident friend can do it. Imagine two people witness the same car accident. One remembers a blue car. The other confidently says, "No, it was green. I saw it clearly." Now, green is in the first person's memory system too. Days later, green may feel familiar. And familiarity is dangerous because it can feel like evidence. I know this. I've seen this. This feels right. But familiar does not always mean true. And confidence does not rescue us. A person can be completely sincere and still be wrong. That matters in arguments, in relationships, and in serious cases, eyewitness testimony. Before you start questioning your entire childhood, there's an important limit. False memories are real, but the internet exaggerates them. You cannot casually tell someone you were kidnapped by pirates when you were 6 and instantly give them a cinematic memory. Suggested autobiographical memories usually require stronger conditions: plausibility, repetition, imagination, and sometimes a trusted source. Your memory is not infinitely gullible, but when a false detail fits what your brain already knows, things get slippery. Imagine your family really took you to a zoo when you were 5. Years later, your mother jokes that a monkey stole your snack. You know there were monkeys. You can picture the scene, the story gets repeated. You imagine it again. Eventually, the image may feel less like something you constructed and more like something you remember. Did it happen? Maybe. Maybe not. But your brain has enough pieces to build a convincing scene. Imagination can make this even harder. In laboratory studies, repeatedly imagining simple actions has sometimes caused people to later confuse an imagined action with one they actually performed. Think about an argument you replayed in your head. You imagine what you should have said, then you replay it again. Months later, are you absolutely sure which lines you actually said and which ones only existed in your head? That is why memory disagreements can feel so personal. You are not comparing two video files. You are comparing two reconstructions, and both people may feel certain. Now, multiply that by millions. This is where the Mandela Effect becomes interesting. Not because it proves we jump timelines, but because it shows that false memories are not always random. Researchers have found that some familiar cultural images can produce specific, consistent false memories across different people. That's the strange part. If memory errors were pure noise, you would expect everyone to make different mistakes. But sometimes many people make the same one. The Monopoly Man gets a monocle. Pikachu gets a black mark on the end of his tail. A familiar movie quote changes into the version everyone repeats. Why? Because millions of people share the same schemas, culture associations, misquotes, memes, and internet feeds. Then someone posts, "Am I the only one who remembers it this way?" You do. 10,000 comments do. And your confidence rises. One wrong person feels like a mistake. 10,000 wrong people feels like evidence. But agreement does not turn a reconstruction into a recording. Sometimes it just gives the reconstruction a bigger audience. And now this problem has a modern upgrade. Today we can generate realistic images of things that never happened in seconds. A place, a face, a photograph of you standing somewhere you never stood. Even before generative AI, manipulated visual evidence could affect what people later believed or remembered. Now imagine seeing a fake image today, then seeing it again without context. Then again, 6 months later, 5 years pass. You remember the image. But do you still remember that it was fake? There is a huge difference between, "I remember seeing an image of this," and "I remember this." That difference may become more important every year. Now I owe you something. At the beginning, I gave you a list of words. Without going back, answer one question. Was the word sleep on the list? Don't overthink it. Just notice what your memory says. Sleep. Was it there? Here was the list. Bed. Rest. Awake. Tired. Dream. Blanket. Snooze. Night. Pillow. Peace. Yawn. Drowsy. I never said sleep. If you remember hearing it, your brain just demonstrated the basic logic behind one of the best-known false memory effects. The words all point toward the same concept. Sleep. Your brain extracted the meaning. And later, the missing word could feel familiar enough to be mistaken for one that was actually there. No fake photograph. No person lying to you. No alternate universe. Your brain had the pieces. It supplied the center. And if you got it right, don't get too comfortable. Not everyone falls for every memory illusion. The point is that memory is reconstructive, and that is also part of what makes it useful. Imagine if your brain recorded every second with equal importance. Every license plate, every exact sentence, every face in every crowd, you would have an enormous archive and no idea what mattered. Memory has to compress, organize, connect, extract patterns, keep meaning while letting huge amounts of detail disappear. That is not a bug. That is part of how you learn. But every shortcut has a cost. If your brain stores the pattern, it may add a detail that fits the pattern. If new information arrives later, it can become tangled with old information. If you vividly imagine something, its source can become harder to identify. If thousands of people repeat the same wrong version, familiarity can start to feel like truth. And now think about one memory you love. A summer afternoon. A grandparent's voice. Your first day at a new school. A stupid joke with someone you haven't seen in years. I'm not telling you it didn't happen. I'm telling you something stranger. The memory is not valuable because it is a perfect recording. It is valuable because your mind kept something from that moment. Maybe the exact words changed. Maybe one detail came from a photograph. But somewhere inside the reconstruction is what your brain decided was worth carrying forward. That is why two people can live through the same moment and walk away with two different pasts. And why proving someone wrong about a memory can feel almost like attacking part of who they are. Our memories don't just tell us what happened, they help tell us who we are. So the next time you say, "I know what I remember," maybe leave a tiny bit of room after the sentence. Because your brain is brilliant, your memory is powerful, but neither one was built to give you a perfect recording of yesterday. What you experience as the past is something your mind rebuilds from the pieces it managed to keep. Usually, it gets close. Sometimes, it fills a gap. Sometimes, it borrows a detail. And sometimes, it gives you a memory of something that never happened at all. Which leaves you with one uncomfortable question. How many things in your life do you remember because they happened? And how many do you remember because somewhere along the way, your brain learned the story? Understand your mind. Protect your peace. And every time your brain creates false memories, let the duck explain.